Hey folks, I did a reading last week and I used an interesting method and I thought I would share it with you. This was something that just came up on the spot. And I think this comes from the idea that if you've ever done any creative work, teachers will often tell you content determines form. And what they mean by that is if you're a writer, the story that you're trying to tell dictates the kind of form that you're going to tell it in. Um, Not everything gets to be a musical, for example, just because you want it to be, and not everything gets to be, um, if you're writing The Sound of Music, if that's the story you have to tell, you don't put it in the format of Kill Bill. The story that you're telling matches or indicates or tells you the kind of form that it wants to take. And sometimes I find that with readings too, the more I do them. So what I did in this reading was based on the questions that I was asked, and there was actually a stack of questions. There was, an anthology of questions that I was approaching, but they all seemed to focus on two areas of this person's life. So what I did was I kind of on the spot decided to do something I don't usually do. I'm going to take you through that in a minute. I didn't use this deck for the reading that I did initially. I'm going to use it tonight because this is a deck this is the Line Strider Tarot. And I really, really, when I started seeing videos of this pop up, I'm not, as well connected to the new decks that are popping out constantly, as much as I used to be, which is sad because I really like spending money on this stuff. Um, anyway, I loved the pictures when I started seeing it, and I got it, and I thought, oh, this is a stunning deck. It's beautiful. I'm having a really hard time reading with it. It is just not working that well for me. I stare at it and I just do not make a connection. And with the decks I use all the time, I don't really have that problem. Sometimes I do have to sit and ponder, especially if it's a complicated image. I'll sit and let it, you know, start to pull my attention in certain directions. The Shadowscapes Tarot is like that. I frequently will sit there and sort of look at that beautiful imagery and think, what's calling my attention? These images are beautiful. They're not super complicated, but I'm not really having a connection. I know people talk about this. Sometimes you just don't connect with a deck. I'm not connecting with this one, but I'm trying because I like it so much. So anyway, this person was asking about sort of their life, their love life, and they were asking about their career. So what I did was I started with a 3-card reading. That was one card represented love life, one was career, and one I just drew to sort of indicate spiritual health. So it was nothing more complicated than a normal 3-card reading. And what I did, we have 3 court cards here, which is really interesting. So what I did was I picked one card to represent love life, one to represent career, one to represent spiritual well-being or spiritual health. All right. And then I interpreted them. I'll do this quickly in this case, but let's say this was someone's love life and I got the Page of Pentacles reversed. I'd say someone was resisting starting a new chapter of their life, or they're having a hard time seeing a new chapter of their life, probably because it's less romantic and more practical than they thought it would be. Now, when I read for someone in real life, I'll spend much more time on that, but I want to make sure this fits in 10 or 15 minutes. All right, so I would do that. Then I would say, all right, your career, we've got a Queen of Wands. We've got someone who could be really powerfully creative, really at sort of the mastery point of whatever their vocation is. But for some reason, they are, again, resisting that call. They're resisting that true vocation. So I might suggest, for example, that this person is avoiding what they're really good at. It may suggest that they want to be good at something, but they're really, really motivated to, or their life is really calling them in a different direction. And if they embraced that thing they're avoiding, they might blossom, but they probably won't if they don't. Or it'll go slow slower. And then in spiritual health, we've got a Knight of Swords. In terms of spiritual health, what we've got is someone who's sort of really aggressively kind of smacking through the undergrowth and like going and hunting for what they want, spending a lot of time doing that and being really aggressive about it, probably spending a lot of time thinking about it. And, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. They're really very clever. They're really very cerebral. They're obviously very smart. And so in that way, you know, that indicates a certain amount of spiritual health. That's good. So I did that, all right? And then what I did was I said, okay, now we're going to focus on each one of these individually. So what I did was I started with the love life, and I explained that I was going to put the other two cards back into the pile so that I reshuffled, and I said, you know, this might be interesting if they come up again in, you know, a subsequent part of the, like in relationship to this, you know, this card. So I put them back, I shuffled, and then I drew two more cards to work in tandem with this. And what I said was, all right, first we're going to look at your love life. One card is going to represent the direction that things seem to be heading right now, so sort of a predictive forecast. And then the second card, or the third card, was going to be what you could do to change that if you wanted to. Now, because I'm doing this one-handed, I'm not going to shuffle these back again, but I am going to put these over to the side. In the reading, incidentally, the two cards that were other points in the reading, the career and spiritual health, did not show up again. But there were a lot of themes. And I find that really interesting. You know, in this case, I'm not really reading for a person, and I just invented everything. But I've got 3 court cards. 2 of them are reversed. This is where you start thinking about themes, right? 2 of them, and I shouldn't be doing this because I'm supposed to be talking about something else. 2 of them are reversed. 1 of them aren't. And what we've got is someone who's really sort of upside down. They're really, really feeling kind of at sea, I think. And they're doing a lot of thinking about it. You know, it's really at the forefront of their mind. They're also at 3 different states of their journey. In terms of love life, they're really in their infancy in a way. In terms of career, they could be really far advanced. And in terms of their spiritual health, they're sort of in the middle of the journey, but they're not, you know, they're not mastering anything. I would also say that because there's no kings in this reading of 3 court cards and no cups, that's something I would think about, you know. The kings indicate like guru-ishness, sort of the height, the grand master, so to speak, if you're thinking about chess. And you don't see that kind of grand mastery. So it would indicate to me that there's sort of youthful, in quotation marks, in terms of their journey. And the lack of cups here says to me that they may be asking about their love life. The energies around them right now are really not focused on that, which could also indicate why we have the Page of Pentacles here, which is that, you know, I said this person isn't viewing something that is the beginning of something because it's too practical. It may just simply be that while they're thinking about their love life, or they think that's what they want, their life isn't in that space right now. So then, as I said, I put these back in the deck, reshuffled, spread them out, and I said, let's pull a card to complement our love card. One that's our forecast, and one that's our direct way to change if we want to, if we don't like that forecast. So I drew 2 more. We've got more reverse cards. So we get the 10 of Pentacles and we get the 2 of Pentacles. Again, really, really interesting. And these are, I love themes. I love when this happens. Love reading, all about Pentacles. What we're sort of seeing here is that the energy around this person's love life is far more banal, and I don't mean that in a bad way, far more daily than maybe they want it to be. So where things are going right now, again, we have the 10 of Pentacles reversed. It seems like what they're heading away from is the traditional 10 of Pentacles energy, which is a happy family. You know, the kind of normalized, and I mean that in a good way, basic, undramatic life that many people aspire to. The way that things are heading now because of this is leading to this. Now, if they don't want to go in that direction, what they need to do is kind of juggle their priorities. Again, we have sort of these infancy cards here, which I think is interesting. They may need to look around, sort of reshuffle, reconnoiter, is that a word? Where they want to go, and think about how they want to get where they're going. So if they don't want to move away from this, if they want to move toward this, say, what they need to do is take some time and look at what their priorities are and kind of reshuffle the deck, rejuggle what they're doing, or find a way to juggle all the things that are going on in their life, because potentially something else in their life is pulling them away from this, which may be, again, one reason why they're not seeing this. All right, so again, very quickly, this was a 40-minute reading, by the way. So I'm going really quickly here to fit it in because I'm already at 11 minutes. But so you get the point. Put all the cards back in the deck, including this one, and then hunted for the second card, which in this case represented career, and it was the Queen of Wands reversed. So then it was literally the same thing. I pulled a card to represent where the energy is headed career-wise, where to go if you don't want to move in that direction. In this case, we get the Eight of Wands. Lots of reversal here. And we get the Queen of Cups. So we get another court card here. And we get a card from a suit we haven't seen before. So where they're headed right now is, career-wise, a feeling of... So the Eight of Wands traditionally for me represents being trapped. Being reversed, I'd say they were released from that. But given the context of the reading, I'm saying that maybe... because they're refusing to do this, they're heading to a point where they're going to get themselves stuck in a position they can't get out of. Do you know what I mean? So the Queen of Wands reversed is someone who can't see what their real vocation is in order to truly master it. That's heading them to a point where they may not be able to get out of what they're doing, because they don't want to take the time now to see what they're capable of. If they don't want to go in that direction, the Queen of Cups, our first emotion. What we need to do then, if we don't want to do this and this, is be this. And this suggests looking at things from a far more emotionally mature place. I can't be all fiery wandsy. I want to be a celebrity. I want to be, on Broadway, say. What I need to do is take a more even-tempered look at what I want, what really moves me, because I have this ability, and that could take me in another direction. Also, the Queen of Wands the Queen of Cups is frequently associated with intuition and seeing, so I need to see more clearly that I'm doing this so that I don't go in this direction. Again, I spent about 40 minutes on this whole reading, but you get the picture. So then we go into the last point, which was our spiritual health. Did the same thing. Okay, we have the Knight of Swords. I'm going to do this really quickly because I've only got about 2 minutes. So, Knight of Swords, our spiritual health, that gives us the Hierophant reversed. The Five of Wands reversed, could spend so much time on this. The spiritual health indicates them pulling away from some kind of faith or institution. Probably because they become so cerebral, they're not interested in a connection to something that seems larger or that requires their devotion. And so, if they don't want to go in that direction, if they're moving away from something maybe they want to go into, then what they need to do is look at the Five of Wands reversed, which, this is an interesting Five of Wands. Hurry, Ben, hurry. We need to sort of let go of conflict. So I would say here, maybe it ties back into the Wands from earlier. I need to let go of the sort of infighting in my career, solve that problem, and maybe it'll take me to a place where I'll find a place to belong, an institution I fit into, that I'm moving toward rather than away from. So anyway, really fun technique. I really enjoyed doing this reading, and I hope this is interesting for you, and I hope it helps.